All right, we are back. It is episode 9. 2017-18 Stanley Cup playoffs are underway, and the Calgary Flames have swept the Edmonton Oilers in round 1 of the Western Conference quarterfinals. What a series it was between the two provincial rivals in Alberta. It was quite the series indeed, because the Calgary Flames actually ended up sweeping Edmonton, something that really didn't look like it was a possibility at the start of the series going in. We took a look at the Oilers and the Flames, and the numbers were pretty even going into the series, but yet the Calgary Flames were able to get it done in just 4 games and end the hopes of the Stanley Cup of their provincial rival and get the opportunity to rest for about a good week here before they take on the Chicago Blackhawks in round 2. So I just want to mention, in the last video, I was comparing this series to last year quite a bit for the Flames, where they got swept by the Ducks. The thing about last year, where Calgary got swept by Anaheim, is that it shouldn't have happened the way it did. On paper, the Flames exited in 4 games, just like the Oilers did here in the 2018 playoffs. However, if you were watching that Flames-Ducks series last year, anybody that watched all 4 games would know that series shouldn't have ended in 4 games. Calgary had just as good of a chance in all 4 games to win the games just as much as Anaheim did. That series should have easily went 6 or 7 games, and you know what? Calgary even had almost just as good of a chance to win the series as the Anaheim Ducks had. It wasn't really like the previous playoff experience for the Flames in 2015, where they met the Ducks in the second round, and then they pretty much got manhandled by the Ducks, and I think they exited in about 5 games. But last year, it was a really even, and the biggest thing about that series between Calgary and Anaheim is each game was decided by just 1 goal. And take a look at this 2018 playoffs. 4-3 in overtime, 3-2 in regulation, 2-1 in regulation, 3-2 in overtime. Just like that Flames and Ducks series, this series, every game was decided by just 1 game. That's how close this series was. So when I say the Flames swept the Oilers, and it was, it was really sweet to see Calgary beat Edmonton, especially in a sweep for any Flames fan out there. It was actually a much closer series than it looks like right now on this calendar, and you actually have to give the Edmonton Oilers a lot of credit in that series. It could have went either way, especially those overtime games. Anything can happen in overtime. We were just lucky. We got a couple good shots. We were able to funnel pucks to the net, and I think TJ Brody got the first one there in Game 1, and then Matthew Tkachuk played hero in Game 4 and got the series clinching goal. But it was a tip, so I mean, it could have went either way in that series. But the Calgary Flames were lucky enough to come out with the 4-0 sweep and move on to the second round. So I don't think I gave enough credit to the Edmonton Oilers in that last video. I was just really excited that we were able to sweep them, but it was very close in terms of the way the series played out. It could have went either way. So this is the playoff screen here. Just want to take a look at some of the numbers in that series before we move on here to Chicago. We're going to take a look at the Blackhawks line and preview that series just like we did with the Edmonton Oilers. So in terms of goals for, we put 12 goals in that series against the Edmonton Oilers. That was close to the top of the lead. We tied with Toronto, who also swept their opponent, which was the Buffalo Sabres, and they also won the President's Trophy, but we were tied with St. Louis, Dallas, Chicago, who we are facing, so they also put up 12 goals, and the Boston Bruins as well. But you can see a couple teams here had few more goals than we did. So, 12 goals in a series, that's not bad. That's, some decent offense. Again, they were all 1-goal games, so, I mean, it's not like we were blowing out the Oilers like 6-0. In terms of goals against, we finished, let's see where we finished here. There is Edmonton. They finished with the 12 that we scored on them. But we did a little bit better because this is going from the highest goals against to the least, and we actually finished with the third best goals against in round one. We only allowed Edmonton 8 goals, 4. So let's go by this way, so it looks a little bit better there. So you can see there's Toronto with 3. They had an incredible series against the Buffalo Sabres, but our series was much closer, even though we only allowed 8 goals. 8 and 12, that's not much of a difference. So you can see that the scoring was pretty even, whereas in the Buffalo and Toronto series, 12 goals for compared to 3 goals against. I think the Maple Leafs definitely outscored their opponent in that series. But for us and Edmonton, there was only a 4-goal difference when it came to goal differential. So that was an interesting one. The interesting one here, actually, for me, is the power play. Because going into the series, we knew that the Edmonton Oilers had a very weak penalty kill, and we knew that that was something we really wanted to take advantage going into the series. So we went 2 for 11 on the PP there in round one, which, as you can see, was not even tops in the NHL. There we are at 18.2. Tops in the playoff, I mean. A little surprised. I thought we had a little bit more than 2 power play goals in that entire series. Again, it was hard to count it. The screen doesn't count the power play goals for you. It doesn't show up in your stats at the end, so this is the only way to check it. But when we were doing the real-time simulations, I thought we had more power play goals, but we may have just scored after the power play and made it look like we had more power play goals. But we did go 2 for 11. We only had 11 opportunities, so that looks like that is the lowest in the entire series for all the teams. But we do convert on 2 of the 11. So I would have liked our power play to be slightly better. Wasn't too bad though. So I don't know if special teams played as much of a role in that series as we had hoped, but look at our penalty kill here. 94.1%. That's good enough for second, of course, behind only Toronto. We only allowed 1 power play goal against in 17 tries. So Edmonton was on the power play quite a bit, and I think I mentioned it in the last video. Our penalty kill may have been the most underrated thing in that series because the Oilers, for some reason, were getting a lot of power plays through those 4 games, 17 to be exact, sorry, and they only scored on 1 of them, and I think it was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that scored that goal. So, we're right here. That scored that goal. So, 94.1%. That's actually a pretty good penalty kill. I was pretty impressed with those numbers on the PK. Would have been nice if we could have got our power play going a little bit better, but again, on only 11 tries, and again, I'm not complaining. We did sweep the Edmonton Oilers, so at the end of the day, we're not dissecting our special teams as much as maybe Edmonton is as they are exiting and heading home. So that is we were just on the screen. Whoops. That is a look at the team stats. I just wanted to quickly look. I know we looked at our player stats in the last video, but we'll just quickly take a look again here. James Neal was huge in this series. He really showed up in the second half of the series in those 2 games up in Edmonton. He was our only player to go 4 points in 4 games. Especially after that very weak start to his career in Calgary, where he put up 10 points in 17 games since coming over to the Flames at trade deadline. He has showed up in the playoffs with exactly a point a game. I know it's a small sample size, but +3, 4 points in 4 games, that's the James Neal that we traded for at trade deadline. That's the guy that we gave up a second-round pick, multiple prospects, and a roster player for. So it was a big trade for us, and right now it is paying off. We'll see if it can continue going into the next series, and then hopefully going into next year as well, because we do plan to extend him. Just after the playoffs, we've tried extending Neal and Backlund already. We're going to try and extend both of them again after the playoffs and before free agency. So the next thing I note from here is the 3M line was just fantastic. Frolik, Backlund, and Tkachuk each have 3 points. That's 9 points combined by the 3 of them in 4 games. Incredible stuff. Tkachuk, he got injured in game 1 there, only played 5 minutes, came back in game 2, but much like James Neal, he really showed up in those 2 games up in Edmonton. I think he scored both his goals there in Edmonton, including the eventual overtime winner in game 4. that clinched the series. So a huge by Kachuk, and Backlund and Frolik just played well. That 3M line was really our top line in that series. But Jaromir Jagr, this guy, he was playing on our third line. He was our unsung hero all season long. Had incredible numbers in the regular season. This is his playoff stats, but I just want to quickly look at his season stats again. 27 goals, 49 points. Like, this was incredible out of the 46-year-old Jaromir Jagr, and then came into the playoffs and has just been continuing his success from the regular season. Has 3 points through 4 games. So, I mean, it's incredible stuff that Jaromir Jagr is doing right now, playing on the third line. I mean, this is incredible. So, I mean, we are really getting depth scoring from Jagr. I've mentioned it many times. We're definitely bringing this guy back if he does not retire, but I have a good feeling that he will. TJ Brody was huge in this series as well. He obviously scored that. His lone goal came in overtime in Game 1. He obviously assisted on Kachuk's game winner in Game 4, so just a big series out of him. He also had 3 points, and then just looking at Monahan and Gaudreau, our two top guys down here, they only had 2 points. Not bad. You would have liked to see more. Gaudreau is yet to find the back of the net in the playoffs, but does have 2 assists. And there was Sam Bennett. He was injured for the start of this series. Wasn't supposed to come back till the 22nd of April, but he came back early and played in Game 4, and he managed to get a point in his lone goal game of the playoffs. So good stuff out of Sam Bennett. Good to have him back. We need his depth down there with Jankowski and Jagr. So it's really welcoming news to see that third line is going with Jagr, that our 3M line was really going there. Only we can get Monahan and Gaudreau's line going here, heading into the second round matchup with the Hawks. That would be perfect. But the biggest thing for us in that series, of course, was none other than Mike Smith. This guy, he faced about 35 to 45 shots a game. I think actually in Game 1, he faced close to 50 shots a game. Like, for some reason, the Edmonton Oilers were just absolutely hammering us with shots in all 4 games. Like, it was 35 plus shots a game for Mike Smith. And he not only did he win all 4 games, I mean, he put up an incredible .945 save percentage and a .199 goals against. This was incredible out of Mike Smith. I mean, you thought he was Carey Price out there the way he was playing. I mean, it really reminded you of Mika Kiprusoff, maybe from some of his days in Calgary. I mean, this guy just stood on his head in all 4 games. I mean, he did that for most of the regular season, but to put up a .945 save percentage, and to face, 40 plus shots, 35 plus shots a game. I mean, it was incredible stuff out of Mike Smith. I said in our last video, he's been our MVP of the regular season and so far of the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. So he's only in 83 overall, but you'll remember when I did our comparison to him and Cam Talbot, who I think was in 87, I said they're very similar, even though there's such a difference between their overall. But you can see that that was the case because Smith outperformed Talbot in that series. So I don't know why he's only an 83 overall in this game, but yet he plays like he's better than that, which is good news for us. I mean, if he played like he was an 83 overall, we probably wouldn't be in the position that we are in now. So incredible stuff out of Mike Smith. What a series for him. We'll hope that he can keep it going here. There's no way we're going to take Smith out of the net anytime soon. So we hope he can keep it going here against the Chicago Blackhawks. So there they are, the Chicago Blackhawks, 42, 34, and 6. This is not going to be an easy team to face. I forget where they finished in the regular season. We'll take a look at that now, I guess. But no, they're not going to be an easy team at all to face. Anytime you face the Chicago Blackhawks, it's not going to be easy. I think I said in the last video, the last time we faced the Chicago Blackhawks was in the 2009 Stanley Cup playoffs in round 1. And they beat us. So there they are, 90 points. They just made it into the playoffs. They squeaked in as the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So I think in 2009, and again, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think the Chicago Blackhawks were a little bit higher. I think they were about 1, 2, or 3 in the West, and I think we were the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So this is really just kind of a reverse of 2009, but I'm not fully confident that we will be able to to completely manhandle them as much as they did in '09 against us. So, they're still a really lethal team, but they did just squeak in with 90 points. I mean, Vancouver had 90 points, so that could have been the difference between, it came down to probably row wins, which Chicago had 37 and Vancouver had 33. So that's probably what it came down to, the regulation and overtime wins, and they just squeaked in with the tiebreaker. So, not the best season for Chicago, but I still consider them a threat. I don't think anybody in this league wouldn't after the history they've had in the past decade or so. But let's take a look here where they finished in goals for. So we finished second in goals for this season. They finished right behind us by just 1 goal. So they're a very offensive team as well. This is by the Western Conference, by the way. This isn't the league. So they finished with 237 in the West. We finished with 238. And in goals against, we'll look here. Remember, we were in the bottom half for goals against, for allowing goals, excuse me, but where are they here? Must be in the top half here. And, where are they? Oh, they're right there. Okay, so they're 230. So, just getting mixed up here. Okay, so yeah, they actually had the worst, second worst goals against in the Western Conference, behind just the Vegas Golden Knights, tied with the Sharks. So they actually allowed more goals than we did. So their goaltending, I don't know if Corey Crawford is the problem, or maybe it was their defense. Maybe they're allowing as many shots as we are. Who knows? But that is a look there. We won't look at their power play and penalty kill because, this is from the regular season. We should be looking anyways at their playoff stats and how they did in round 1. So let's do that. They played 5 games. They did win the series by a score of 4-1, beating, who were they playing? I forget who they were playing, but they beat their opponent 4-1. They did score 12 goals for us. We looked in the last screen, so the same amount as us, and they also allowed 8 goals. So very identical records here between both us and Chicago in terms of goal differential. Both had 12 goals for, both had 8 goals against. So very similar numbers there. In terms of their power play, it was much better than ours, operating at 25%. So they finished with the 4th best power play in round 1. They go 4 for 16 on the power play. And with their penalty kill, 91.7. So right behind us, not far behind us. They only allow 1 power play goal against in 12 games. Or in 12 tries, sorry. We allowed 1 in 17. So the PKs look very similar to me here. Their power play is slightly better than ours. I think I might tweak the power play a little bit because, again, we only had 2 power play goals on 11 tries, and I think that we can get that number a little bit higher. And if we did, I think we would have a very similar power play to them in that category. So what I want to do is look at their player stats, and we'll look at their player stats through round 1. First, though, we'll look at their player stats just through the regular season. And the reason I'm doing this is just because round 1, they only played 5 games. It was such a small sample size. I just want to see who was their most impactful players in the regular season. So not the AHL here. What I want is the Chicago Blackhawks. So I'm going the wrong way, of course. So let's just see who the most impactful players were through the regular season. So we know when we looked at the league player stats that Patrick Kane was their top offensive player, followed by Jonathan Toews. So 92 points for Patrick Kane. We're looking at forwards, by the way. Jonathan Toews there with 82. Brandon Stott had a 66-point season, 30-plus goals coming over from that trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Artem Anisimov, 53 points. Marian Hossa, he wasn't supposed to play this year, so of course that's one thing that EA maybe didn't or forgot to put in, and you can't really put it in, but Marian Hossa had a skin injury this season and is out for the entire season, so he's not supposed to play in the 2017-18 season at all. It doesn't look like he will in real life, so of course they couldn't, just take him out of the game for modes like franchise mode. You can't just take Marian Hossa out of the game because of one season, and you can't really make a guy injured for one season. So EA left him untouched. So in this game, we pretend that Marian Hossa did not get that skin injury. I don't know if it was like a skin cancer or what, but it was some kind of an injury, and he plays this season, and he has 44 points. So this is a massive ad for Chicago. In real life, they don't have Hossa for this season, but in the game they do. So that's like, I mean, you're giving them a top 6 forward, so that's huge. But again, there's nothing we can do about that. So but they still did just squeak into the playoffs, even with Hossa coming back. So Hartman there, 42. There was Patrick Sharp, 35. So you can see they have a little bit. They're a lot more like us in terms of they have their top players, but they also have their offense kind of spread out throughout a little bit better than Edmonton did. Whereas when we looked at Edmonton, it was all Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Milan Lucic, and Nugent Hopkins, and the rest of their forwards just really had nothing. And same with the defense. So you can see here already that Chicago's spread out their scoring a little bit better than Edmonton did, a little bit closer to what we have there. There's the former Flame Lance Boma, 13 points in 73 games. So that is the offense from the forwards. Let's just take a quick look at the defense. And yeah, Edmonton didn't even have a guy above, I think, 30 points. They have Duncan Keith with 61 points, but then it's a drop-off. 25 points for Brett Seabrook, both a -3, by the way, and then probably the top pairing for them. And then Cody Franson, Connor Murphy there, Stuart Roosevelt, and Kempney. So that's a look at their defense from the regular season. But Duncan Keith did put up 61 points, 54 assists in the regular season. And then goaltending, it was Corey Crawford, who played 57 games for them and put up a .906 save percentage. So, okay numbers. 2-9 goals against. Okay numbers for Corey Crawford, but not his best numbers. He does go 26, 27, and 4. And then it looks like Anton Forsberg only played 16 games there. So very similar to us as well. They had a guy that was, able to come in and play and put up, decent backup numbers in 925. We had John Gillies come in through 6 games, and he put up some good numbers. But they also have that number 1 starter in Corey Crawford. So same as us, same as Edmonton, really, with Talbot and Bourgeois. Same with us with Smith and Gillies. They have pretty much a starter and a reliable backup in both Crawford and Forsberg. So that's the regular season. Let's now shift it over to the playoffs and see if those top players translated in the playoffs. We know they put up 12 goals for and 8 goals against, just as we did. So let's take a look here as we go again down to Chicago. Okay, so through 5 games, Richard Panik, who is not near the top there in their scoring, he put up 5 points in 5 games. So he was their James Neal of that series. Big series for him, 3 goals and 2 assists. But there was Patty Sharp. He also was, somewhat middle of the pack when it came to forwards. 3 points for him. Jonathan Taves had 3 points. Artem Anisinov, 3 points. Patrick Kane, 3 points. So just like we had Johnny Gaudreau, they had Patrick Kane. Both guys maybe didn't perform as well as they could in that first series. But we're expecting bigger things out of Gaudreau in the second round, as they probably are out of Kane. Hossa also had 3 points. Keith Saad, 2 points for Saad there, and so it goes down the list there. 1 point for Seabrook all the way down here at the bottom. Interesting to note is Lance Boma, Thomas Jurkel, and this John Hayden. They were in the minuses, so -3 for both Boma and Jurkel, -2 for Hayden. So I don't know if this is their fourth line. Obviously, center, right wing, left wing, you can assume that these guys are all on the same line. Probably their fourth line, but interesting to note that that line was really struggling in that series. So maybe that's something we take advantage of, is matching up against this line here. It's going to be, we're not going to put up our top line down there and play against this line. But maybe we can shift our bottom 6 to take advantage of their weak fourth line that really struggled in that series. So we'll see if we can take advantage of that. Matchups are going to be interesting. We'll look at Chicago's line here next. But what we want to do with matchups, remember in that Edmonton series, we put up Monahan's line against the Connor McDavid line, which, by the way, was effective in the end because we only held Connor McDavid to 1 goal, by the way, in that series. So that was pretty good, but we were questioning whether we should put the 3M line up against that McDavid line instead, because that 3M line is a better shutdown line than Monahan's line. But at the end it all worked out because the 3M line actually was our best offensive line, and they probably played against the Draisaitl line, and Monahan's line did okay. Not good offensively, but they did a good job making sure McDavid's line, which featured Nugent Hopkins and Lucci. They shut them down, didn't hold them to much. I think Nugent Hopkins had 2 goals in that series, McDavid 1, and I don't even think Lucci got on the board in terms of goals in that series. So matchups are going to be interesting. We'll take a look here at their lines. Like I said, I think they're a lot more equivalent to us in terms of the fact that their lines are a little bit more spread out. So, I mean, it's going to be, it might even be more of an even matchup than the Edmonton series was. So we'll take a look at that. 3 assists for Duncan Keith. You can see there, Seabrook didn't have a point. They didn't get anything from their bottom 3 here. Connor Murphy, 2 points. So nothing really coming from their defense. Nobody even got on the board in terms of goals by their defensemen through 5 games. So all of their offense is coming from their spread out. I'd probably say their top 9. Again, that bottom line with Boma's line, that line really looked to struggle there, or really seemed to have struggled there in that series. So I think their top 9 is where all their offense is coming from, and obviously not much coming down here. But I want to take a look at Corey Crawford. So I think, he had a much, much better playoffs than his regular season. Goes 4-1-0 through 5 games and puts up a 949 save percentage. So very similar numbers to Mike Smith, 160. In fact, slightly better, I think, than Mike Smith. So Crawford has been their MVP in that series, just like Smith was for us. So, it's really looking pretty even in terms of matchups right now between these 2 teams. So, that's interesting right now to see. So matchups are going to be interesting, but Crawford and Smith are playing very, very similar. Their defense is maybe not getting as much offense as our defense. But they got a really good spread out forward group. We'll take a look at their lines here now. But their penalty kill and our penalty kill are about the same. Their power play was slightly better than our power play. So it's just interesting. It's a lot closer than the Edmonton matchup was. But let's take a look at their lines here. So there they are. Brandon Saad, Jonathan Toews, and Patrick Kane. Number 1 line right there. We know that line did pretty good in the regular season. Could have been better in the playoffs, but not bad. That's a pretty good, solid top line. Obviously, Kane and Toews. I mean, anytime you put those 2 on the same line, it's going to be lethal. You put Brandon Saad on there, that's pretty good. They really are hurting with the loss of Terry Panarin, but Saad has been a welcome addition coming in as well. Gives them a really solid top line. Richard Panik, like I said, he was their best player in that series in round 1 with Artem Anisimov and Marian Hossa. So the second line was getting the job done, much like our 3M line was. Right now the way it's looking, I think we'll keep the matchups the same. We'll put our top line against their top line, our 3M line against their whatever you call this line, the second line. Can't really say it's a 3 whatever line, but there's Patty Sharp. He had an okay series, just like Yager. So a lot of similarities. Yager and Sharp were playing each on the third line. Both had a pretty good series there. So I think the matchups are going to be really, really good if we keep them the way they are. It's going to be interesting to see, which top line is better than whose top line, whose 3M line's better than the other, whose third line with depth scoring like Yager and Sharp is better than one another. And then, like I said, this fourth line really struggled for them. As we mentioned, Hayden, Yerkel, and Boma, they were like -3 in that series. But our fourth line wasn't that bad. So I think our fourth line with Versteeg, and I think we have Versteeg, Brouwer, and Lazar. Or Stajan. Hopefully we can match up a little bit better against the fourth line. But I don't expect both teams' fourth lines are going to get a lot of minutes anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of a factor in this series. There's Keith and Seabrook, as we knew would be their top pairing. That's a pretty lethal top pairing. Anytime they got their top line and top pairing out, it's going to be hard for us to match up against that, but we'll do our best to put our top pairing and top line out as well. There's Stewart and Murphy as their second pairing, and France and Roosevelt. So not much coming from these guys in terms of offense. That's not what their defensive core is there for, clearly, as we've seen in that series. In terms of their special teams, Their power play, as mentioned, was a little bit better than ours. Of course, they had put Kane, Taves, and Sod as a unit. Keith and Franson, and then they have Hossa, Armanisov, and Panik down there. So I'm thinking we might just tweak our power play just slightly to see if we can get it up there with Chicago's, but their special teams in terms of penalty kill is getting the job done. We'll just take a quick look here at their penalty kill there. So those are the guys getting it done for them on the PK, but our PK is doing fantastic as well, or did fantastic there against Edmonton. So goalies, of course, Crawford getting it done through 5 games as we mentioned. So that is a look at Chicago's lines there. So yeah, in terms of matchups, I'm thinking we will keep the same lines, and we will start off at least game 1 that way, match up our Monahan line against their Taves line, and then the 3M line against the second line there that they have, and then our depth third line with Yager, and we welcome back Sam Bennett as mentioned in that last game there. So that will be huge for us. So we'll quickly take a look at our lines now. As we looked at Edmonton's lines. So yeah, I think this will be a good line to match up. I mean, like we said, James Neal really heated up, especially at the end of that series, played well for us. I think he could be a good matchup against Kane. Monahan and Taves will be a good matchup. And then if Johnny Gaudreau can get going against Brandon Saad, I think that's where we win that battle. Like, I mean, if Johnny Gaudreau can pick it up to the Johnny Gaudreau that we all know, he only had 2 assists in that Edmonton series. Against Edmonton, no goals. So if he can get going, this might be an advantage for us. But they also have Kane. If Kane can get going, it will be hard to match up against him as well. So really, really good head-to-head matchup between the top lines. 3M line was fantastic. These guys can do a good job against their second line. And then, like I said, we welcome back Sam Bennett with Jaromir Jagr and Jankowski. Really get that line going. And then Ferland, Versteeg, and Brouwer. We're going to keep the same lines, because I think this is the same lines we kept through all 4 games that got the job done. We have not lost yet, so, I would like to bring in the veteran Matt Stajan maybe at one point in this series, but right now we will keep this line down there. They can't do any worse than Chicago's 4th line anyway, so that's not bad. And then their top pairing, they obviously have a slightly better top pairing than we do, but Gio and Hamilton are not bad either. Hopefully these guys can get it done. And then Brody and Hamonic on that second pairing, Stone and Kulak there. So, and of course Smitty and net. So let's just quickly tweak this power play just slightly. We put Yager on that top unit. I'm thinking we'll go Neil down here, and then I'm thinking we will put TJ Brody because he had a fantastic series. So we'll go Brody Hamilton. We'll just do a top line because they have their top line as their top power play unit anyway. So let's put our top line as our top power play unit, and then we got our 3M line as our second power play unit with Yager and Giordano. So we can we can even switch things up here and put Kachuk on the point. But you know what? Kachuk did good in front of the net, so maybe we'll keep him there and put Yager on the point with Gio, and then go like that. And if we're not getting things done, we can switch this second unit as our top unit. I was even thinking of doing that now, just because this line was much better than this line in round 1 in terms of offense. But we'll keep it like this for now. We'll see how our power play does. If we have to move that second power play unit as our top power play unit, we can do that as well. So I think that's enough of the matchups and the preview of that series. I think it's time we dive right into game 1 of the Chicago Blackhawks and Calgary Flames, second round matchup. It is the Western Conference semifinals here. The chance for the opportunity for a chance to play in the Western Conference Finals is on the line in the best of 7 series between the Hawks and the Flames. And like I said, it's been since 2009 since we've seen the Hawks in the playoffs, so it should be a lot of fun. Since then, they have obviously won 3 Stanley Cups. They've obviously established a dynasty in Chicago, and that's what we're hoping to do in Calgary. So I think it's not only a good matchup in this playoff series, but I think we really match up against them well in terms of real life and in the NHL. I know there's been a lot of comparisons, and don't get mad at me for this, but I know it's not even close. But there's been a lot of comparisons to Monahan and Taves, and then Gaudreau and Kane, and that maybe the Flames could be the next Hawks. I don't think that's the case. I don't think the Flames are on the cusp of winning 3 Stanley Cups in a span of 5 years. I don't think were nearly as good as those Hawks teams were, but there has been that comparison drawn out there from the public that Kane and Taves and Gaudreau, Monahan, and just the similarities there. The Hamilton with their defense. It's just interesting to see because the teams are very similar in a lot of ways. But no, I do not think we're going to win 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years, as much as I would love to see that happen in Calgary. So I think I'm just trying to remember who Chicago played in that round one series. It was obviously either Nashville or St. Louis. I think it was Nashville for some reason. It doesn't really matter. I was just kind of curious anyway. Oh no, they played the crossover series. That's right. They played Anaheim. I was looking at them as the Central Division team, but I forgot they played the crossover series. So they were able to get by the Anaheim Ducks in 5. So a team that we really struggled with. That's right, because we were afraid that we might be facing the Ducks in round 2 as we did 2 years ago. And of course, as we mentioned previously, Calgary and Anaheim have not had, or Calgary has not had a lot of luck against the Anaheim Ducks in previous years. So in a way, we kind of lucked out to get the Hawks, but also in a way, this isn't going to be an easy series. Again, they just squeaked into the playoffs, but for some reason, there's something about this that's not looking like through the playoffs. The Hawks were just as good as we were. They had the exact same numbers. So you can't even take a look at the regular season in terms of the fact that they just squeaked in. But you know what? That's enough talking. Let's jump right in. So we're gonna, just like the Edmonton series, we're gonna do real-time simulation. Here we go, round 2. This is a big series. The Calgary Flames have not made it by the second round. They have not made it to the conference finals, I should say, since that lustrous run in 2004. So there's Richard Panik, their guy that had 5 points in 5 games, now has 2 goals in the first period against Mike Smith on just 5 shots. So a very poor start for us in this series, allowing Richard Panik, who is on their second line there, to get 2 quick goals. We do get a good penalty kill in the first period, but they put up 2 goals and 12 shots. We only get 5 shots on net, so not liking the matchup thus far through 20 minutes of play. Let's see if we can bounce back here in the second period. So not a good start for us at all. But yeah, it'd be nice to see the Flames make it past the Western Conference, or make it past the Western semifinals and to the conference finals. It's been a long time. Obviously, the Oilers were 1 game away from doing it last year. But as the Flames, we made it to the second round, 2 years ago or 3 years ago against the Ducks. Got swept last year by the Ducks in round 1. But we need to take a step forward this season in terms of progress. Team progress. So 2020 are the shots now. We've evened it up, but we've yet to find the back of the net. Corey Crawford has been good. Smith has bounced back somewhat since. There's Sam Bennett getting his first of the series. Michael Furlan tying the game up. So 2 quick goals for us on Corey Crawford, and this game is tied just like that. And then they score. There's Jan Hayda. What the hell is going on? And Marian Hossa. Okay, so what a wild third period here. Wow. Okay, so we have dropped game 1 at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 4-2. So, okay, so just when it looked like we were back in this game with Furlan and Bennett, Jan Hayda and Marian Hossa get the goals. A fourth line goal for them, and then what was Hossa? Second line goal for them. So. In a way, they kind of beat us in every line matchup because even that fourth line outperformed our fourth line in game 1 there. So I'm wondering if we'll switch the matchups around just a little bit. Taking a look here, it's a really weird game. So no line really was drastically in the minuses. Fourth line lost the battle to their fourth line. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a factor, but clearly it was in game 1. Their fourth line scored the winning goal. So just taking a look at numbers here. Nothing out of our top line. Monahan, Neal, Gaudreau down there, absolutely nothing. 3M line, not much there from Frolik, Backlund, or Kachuk, who did have 1 point. So I think we'll switch those 2 matchups around. Oh, excuse me. Jaromir Jagr's line. Bennett, Jagr. Bennett did get on the board. Jagr, not much. So really not a lot of offense, out of our guys. Fourth line did lose the battle there. Ferland did get on the board. Oh, so they did score, but they also did get scored on. Obviously, they got scored on twice because they ended up to be in the minuses. They would have been an even 0 if they were just on for the Chicago goal against and the Michael Ferland goal for. So obviously, they were still in the minuses in this one. So just not good. I thought our matchup was a little bit closer. Mike Smith, for the very first time in these playoffs, did not have a good game. He stood on his head through 4 games. He faced 35 plus shots through 4 games against Edmonton. Comes in here, faces 29 shots, makes 25 saves for an 8.62 save percentage. So definitely his weakest performance thus far of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So not good for us at all to see that. Obviously we want better out of Mike Smith and our team in general. So we'll make a couple changes here ahead of game 2. I think we'll bring Matt Stajan in because that fourth line lost the battle there. So we will replace one of our players there with Matt Stajan in the middle, and then we will just trying to think here. Change the matchup a bit here. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the 3M line against the Taves line, and we will do our Monahan line versus the Richard Panik line, and then Bennett, Yager, and Jankowski will keep them together. Seager, Ferland did score, so we will take out Troy Brouwer, put Seager over there, and take Brouwer out, and bring Matt Stajan in. Whoops. Yes, okay. And just see if that can make the difference. So we'll switch the 2 top lines here. We fixed our 4th line very slightly. These minor tweaks, hopefully something can happen here. Didn't really take a look at special teams in that game. I don't know if we had too many power play opportunities, but we'll leave our power play unit as is now. We'll keep Mike Smith in net, of course. We'll keep our defense the same. Yeah, we'll hope for a bounce back performance here in game 2. So we do have home ice advantage in this series. That was one thing we didn't mention. Of course, the Hawks just squeaking in as the 8th seed. So we finished 2nd in the West, behind only Anaheim. So we want to take advantage here. We don't want to go back to the United Center with a 2-0 deficit. You always want to go back 1-1 split if possible. So with us dropping game 1 there, let's definitely hope for a 1-1 split. So we have to have this game 2. This game 2 is really important. I know it's early in the series. Anything can happen, but this is just such an important game. Just to get ourselves back in this series, just to get our confidence back like it was against Edmonton. This Calgary team had almost a week off. So, it was maybe gotten a little rusty there for Calgary, but we just got to get back in this series here, and what better way to do it than go back to Chicago with a 1-1 split. So they get the first goal. It's the former Flame Lance Boma. That stings. I'm not going to lie, that definitely stings to see Boma scoring against Calgary. Such a warrior for us for so many years, Boma was. So he gets on the board. Their 4th line still outperforming our 4th line. Like, what the hell is going on? This wasn't supposed to be a factor. Why are these 4th lines getting so much ice time? Like, Jesus Christ, where's our top line? There's Matthew Tkachuk, so he's playing against the Taves line. He gets on the board there, and then there's Chris Versteeg. So 4th line gets it back there with the former Hawk Versteeg. So former Flame Boma, former Hawk Versteeg. So hopefully that can help. There's Ferland. So what the hell is going on with the 4th lines? That's 3 goals in this hockey game between the 4th lines of both teams. Like, what? Okay, so that's through 20 minutes. We have a 2-goal lead. We got to hang on here. Shots are very even. We're on the PP here. Come on, Calgary, just hang on. Like, we got to hang on here. Don't give them life. Don't penalty kill. Okay, huge penalty kill there. Our penalty kill coming through once again for us. We killed off a 5-on-3 there as well. They're out shooting us by just a little bit. Shots are even now. And there's Jaromir Jagr sinking the empty net. So, okay, so that was very strange. That game 2 was a battle of the 4th lines. I'm not liking it because, while we can match up against their 4th line, I don't like seeing games where 4th lines are, the focal point. Like, I want to see the top lines against the top lines. I don't really care about the fourth lines. I hate seeing that. Even in real life, I just don't like seeing when, the two fourth lines are the factor of the games. It's so weird. It just doesn't make sense. So, nevertheless, our fourth line does get it done. TJ Brodie, though, 2 points. A pretty good game by him. 2 more points for Michael Ferland. So he's really stepping up. 2 points there by Christopher Stieg. Good stuff there for Leak, Hamilton, Yager, Jankowski, Kachuk, all picking up points as well. So, you know what? We made the switches with the matchups. We didn't really get anything out of the Gaudreau, Monahan, Neal line. And we didn't really get much out of the 3M line besides the Kachuk goal. But we did win the game. So I'm not going to complain too much. But it was just a weird game. Because, you don't see fourth lines, being the factor in a Stanley Cup playoff game as important as this one. So just taking a look at ice time there, the 3M line, they did finish in the pluses. They did finish with points, all but Backlund. Our top line, we reduced their minutes slightly. They didn't do much though, but they also run in the minuses. So, nothing out of them. But we really want to get this line going. Neal was such a factor in that first series. He's got nothing through 2 games. Monahan and Gaudreau both nothing through 2 games. Like, we have to ignite this top line somehow. If this top line gets ignited, we could win this series. But this line has to get going. 3 shots for Neal, 2 shots for Gaudreau, nothing for Monahan. Like, come on, guys, we have to get going. Yager put that empty net in, so not much out of that third line besides that. 9-6-9. So Mike Smith bounces back with a very solid performance in this one, just allowing 1 goal against. On 32 shots or so. So a pretty good night. Mike Smith bounces back after a very poor performance, in game 1, and he bounces back. That's more like the Mike Smith that we saw in that Edmonton series. So let's get right to game 3. Let's keep this simming going. So it is a 1-1 split. We are happy to at least take the 1-1 split back to Chicago. And like I said, we won't even touch our lines because we came off a 4-1 win. Very weird game. Let's hope it's not the case here in game 3. Let's hope the fourth lines are not deciding this one. But let's see if we can get that 2-1 lead here in the series. Let's jump out in front of Chicago. It's anybody's series at this point. It's now a best of 5. So let's get the leg in front. And there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Gaudreau has found the back of the net in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the very first time. It only took him, 6 games to get on the board there? Finally. Maybe this is the start of igniting that top line. If it is, this could be massive for us. So, huge goal by Gaudreau. There's Ferland, that fourth line, again getting on the board. But I'm not going to complain because, that's depth scoring that we need. And when our top line is struggling, it's good to see our depth scoring come through. Saad gets on the board for them for the first time. Power play doesn't get anything done there. It's only a 1-goal game right now. Michael Ferland's goal, the difference. There's Johnny Gaudreau again. Second of the hockey game, second of the playoffs. That's huge. That is huge that our top line is finally feeling it against their second line there in terms of matchup. Huge. I hope Monahan and Neal both assisted on both of those goals just to get them going. But there's a quick goal to start the third period for Hulsa, and then Yurtko. So what the hell happened? We had a 3-1 lead in this hockey game, and we blew it in the start of the third period. What's going on, Calgary? Come on. Oh, and then Panik scores. What the hell, Calgary? Like, what? That can't happen. We had a 3-1 lead. Oh my God, Calgary. Jesus. Oh my God. Like, that can't happen. Like, not now. Not in the Stanley Cup playoffs in Game 3. Like, what? We had a 3-1 series. How do we lose this game 4-3? That's 3 unanswered goals by the Chicago Blackhawks in the third period. Just when it was looking like it was going to be a good game for once. Like, oh my God. 3M line, Kulak and Stone. All in the minuses, but... I don't know. So there's Monahan and Gaudreau each with 2 points. Neal doesn't get on the board at all. Brodie has another 2-point night. Ferland Stajan comes in there. I just don't know. We had the 3-1 lead and we just blew it. Like that just can't happen. Just to look there at your leaders. I don't know. Another night that's probably not the best for Mike Smith. He was probably having a good night up until that third period. Until he allowed 3 goals in that in that third period. 889 save percentage for Mike Smith in that one. So again, not as bad as game one, but he's still not up to Smith standards. Oh, that's just horrible, because I mean that was our game. Like, we were up 3-1 with the final 20 minutes. That's all we had to do was close out the hockey game, and we could have been up 2-1 in this series instead of being down 2-1 in this series. So okay, so that happened. That was game three. We're heading into game four now. We definitely don't want to go down 3-1. Again, just like the first two games, we got to find a way to tie this series up. I'm just wondering if I want to make a couple quick tweaks to this lineup. Nothing major. You know, Neal didn't get anything done. James Neal was not getting anything done, so I'm wondering if we replace him with Yager. We'll just take a stab at it. We'll see if, maybe this can, Yager's been somewhat going, mostly in that first round, but we'll see if maybe he can help spark Monahan and Gaudreau a little bit more, because Neal did not do anything on that 2 goals by Johnny Gaudreau. That was Monahan and Gaudreau by themselves. So, it's weird, because Neal was so hot in round 1, and he's just dropped off the map. But maybe if we put him with Sam Bennett here, we can get something going here. So, we'll keep Steger in, and Stajan and Ferland. For some reason, the fourth lines are really becoming a factor in this series. Kulak was a -1, but we won't put Bart in just yet. I think we'll keep that the same. I just want to tweak the special teams a little bit more. We will put Yager up there as well. And actually, what we'll do is we will put our 3M line as our top unit on the power play. See if that can get going, and then we'll keep Yager on the point on there. So we'll keep things like that. We just got to make minor tweaks like this. Just hope that it can get us back to where we need to be in terms of the power play. Just make minor tweaks there to the lineup. We got to find a way to tie this series up, plain and simple. So let's get right into game 4. We're down 2-1 in this series. We want to bounce back here. We have to find a way to tie this series up here in Chicago, and they get another quick one. Like, what is with these quick goals? It's pissing me off. Fucking Brandon Saad, second of the series. Why do they always get... And there's Patty fucking Kane. Come on, Calgary. Like, why? Why? Like, why does this have to happen? Come on. They've got a 2-0 series lead on us. Like, what is going on, Calgary? Michael Roosevelt. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, this is not a good... Wow. It's like we've just... After that Edmonton series, we've just fallen apart here. Like, what is going on? 3-0. We are down... Oh my god, 4-0. Marian Hossa. Okay, like, somebody pull Mike Smith at this point. 4 goals on 20 shots. Get Eddie Lack in there. Finish the fucking game, and... Jesus Christ, like, what is going on? Oh my god. Okay, third period. Come on, Calgary. Is there any way you can score 4 goals in a period? Now would be the time to do it. There's 1. There's 1. Come on, 2. Come on. There's 2. There's Yager, 2. Come on, 3. There's 3. James the real deal Neal. Come on, 1 more. 4. 4. 4. Come on. Come on, Calgary. So close. Fuck. Patty Kane. Oh my god, we were that close. There's 4, but now we need a 5th. Come on. Late push, Calgary. Late push. Come on, late push. Late push. Fuck. Fuck. Huh? Why? Why even... Oh, fuck, I hate this. Alright. Alright. That third line did all the scoring, though. Neal, Yager, and Tkachuk. We outshot them. We probably outplayed them bad in that third period. But they got the 4-0 start on us through the first 40. So it's nice we showed up for 20 minutes at the end there. But they showed up for the first 40 minutes, and event that was obviously enough. They got that 5th goal in the third, and they have taken a stranglehold 3-1 series lead. So we are down 3-1 now in the series. The third line, as mentioned, got all scoring done there. Neal and Tkachuk with a couple points. Yager there, but just still nothing out of that Monahan Gaudreau line. Minus those 2 goals by Johnny Gaudreau in Game 3, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, oh, Gaudreau only played 13:56. Like, what the hell is going on? Why was Gaudreau's ice time so low? Like, what? I just, I don't know. Yager did score, so I mean that top line did get something in terms of one goal. But like, why is Yager and Gaudreau down there and then Monahan's all the way up here in terms of ice time? Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, who is controlling the ice time lines out there? Because I mean, I know our third line played better, but still, I'm not playing Johnny Gaudreau only 13 minutes a game when he could be a lot higher than that. Like, it doesn't make sense. Okay, whatever. 3M line not having the best night either, but Mike Smith, another pretty poor night for Mike Smith. 8-2-8, faced 29 shots, only made 24 saves. But it was that first couple periods, the first two periods. I mean, you can't allow them just to jump out in the first game, get a Richard Panik goal, and then just get Patrick Kane going, and then all of their, I think it was Roosevelt Holsta. Like, you can't let them jump out to 4-0 through 40 minutes. Like, there's no way we can. We almost clawed back from 4-0 down. I didn't think we were going to, but it's almost next to impossible. So we just, we can't do that. Now we're down 3-1 in the series there, as you can see. I'm just taking a quick look down here at the screen. 2-2 is the Central Division matchup. 2-2 is the Leafs and Lightning. 3-1. The Rangers are also in the same position as we are against the Panthers for some weird reason. So yeah, this is not good. This is not good. We are down 3-1 in the series. We're facing elimination from this point on. It's now our backs are up against the wall. We have to do everything in order to win from this point out. So, I'm going to keep this line together. I'm just going to switch the matchups again. We're fighting for our lives. So, I mean, it's all but nothing at this point. I don't want to bring Troy Brouwer in just yet. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference anyway. But we can try it. We'll take Stajan out. Possibly Matt Stajan's last ever game as a Calgary Flame was Game 4 as Troy Brouwer comes in. I hope it's his last game as a fucking Calgary Flame too. You know what? I don't think it's going to make a difference if we bring Bart in. We'll try it though. We're facing elimination. Give him a game. Yeah, I think this is it. Like, I mean, just, that's it. We're facing elimination here. It's just backs up against the wall and hope we can claw our way back into the series. It starts with one game here in Game 5. We're back home. If we can get the win, we can force a 6th game. You never know. We might be able to make that elusive comeback from 3-1 down. So let's hope that we can do that as we sim up to Game 5 here. It will be upsetting if we lose to the Hawks here in round 2, just in terms of the fact that we were the much better team in the regular season, even though I feel that the two teams are a lot more evenly matched than it shows on paper. And again, that's why I said, I mean, you can't underestimate the Chicago team. They're just too good, even though they just squeaked into the playoffs. So Corey Crawford has been the difference in this series. Mike Smith has really dropped off in this series after an incredible regular season and round 1 against Edmonton. Sorry, I was going blank there. So Troy Brouwer does come in the lineup and score, so I guess that was a pretty good move, as does Mark Jankowski, as does Sean Monahan. So maybe is this a exact opposite of what happened in Game 4? We jump up to a 3-0 series, a 3-0 lead in period 1, except for the fact that Patrick Sharp scores, so it's now 3-1. But we've got to find a way to hold on to this. We outperformed them there in 20 minutes, 15-8 were the shots, 3-1 is the score. We have to hang on. Do not fuck this up. Like, this is not the time to do that, Calgary. Come on, power play. Our power play is not getting it done. Like, our special teams is just not getting it fucking done. Like, we've tried tweaking our power play. What do we have to do to get our power play going? Okay, they've made this a 1-goal game. Come on, Calgary. Come on, hang on here. One more period. This could possibly be our last period, but we are up 3-2, so let's not even think that way. Come on, Calgary, just hang on. Force a game 6. All you have to do is force a game 6. Come on, Calgary. Yes, Dougie Hamilton. And they put Anton Forsberg in net, so they pulled Corey Crawford, but they make it a 1-goal game again. Come on, Calgary. Come on, hang on. You've got 5 fucking minutes to hang on. Come on. Come on. Yes. Okay, that's a massive win. We have forced a 6th game back in Chicago. Oh, that was a lot more of a closer game than I would have obviously wanted, especially when we jumped up to a 3-0 lead in that hockey game. Yeah, that just... whew. Okay, so we have forced a 6th game. So Gio Hamilton, Monahan finally gets the back of the net in this series. Neil Yager is on that top line now. He gets an assist. Gaudreau gets an assist as well on that top line. So we switch things up. The 3M line does all pick a point as well as Sam Bennett. So everybody picking up at least 1 point. Nobody had multiple points in this one, but nice to see that the scoring was kind of spread out in this one. Just looking quickly at the minuses. Nobody was like a drastic minus, so it's not the factor. Mike Smith, still not the best performance by Mike Smith. Look at that, 8-8-9. Like, I don't know what has happened, but in round 1, Smith was like out of his mind good. Same within the regular season for the most part. But in the second round here against Chicago, like his numbers have not been Mike Smith numbers. Like that's not the Mike Smith we had all season and in round 1. Like what the hell has happened? I hate when that happens because, you know, that doesn't really happen in real life. When a goalie's hot, he usually stays hot. You know, he doesn't just drop off after one series. I mean, I know each series is different, but, like, come on. That's not the Mike Smith we had. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You know, and if he's going to be good all season in round 1, then why would he just drop off to, you know... He's playing more like an 83 right now. Before, he was playing like an 87, an 88. Now he's playing like an 83, which is his actual rating. But why was he playing that good all season in round 1, and now he's playing like an 83. So, doesn't make sense, but let's just hope that it's good enough to squeak us to Game 7. So, we are now in Game 6. We have forced a 6th game. We have to, much the same. We're taking this one game at a time. We just have to force a 7th game. Okay, we were down 3-1. Let's just force a 7th game. Let's get to it. Let's get to the best 2 words in all of sports, Game 7. Come on, we knew this would be a very close series. It so far has gone 6, but let's see if we can just make it go 7. Like, come on, Calgary. We are in a similar position as Edmonton was 1 year ago, but let's see if we can get to that. I think they played in Game 7, though, so that was the difference against Anaheim. So, not going to make any lineup tweaks. I think this is the lineup that got it done in Game 6, so let's see if it is the lineup that can force a 7th game. This could be it. Backs up against the wall once again, facing elimination, Calgary. Come on. We need a win here. Come on, Game 7. Our power play has to get going. That's the big thing. Our power play has been absolute shit this entire series. Really, the playoffs. I mean, come on, Calgary, come on. That's like 3 power plays in the first period, and we only have 4 shots on net. Like, what the fuck is going on, Calgary? Like, we should be up 3-0. Thank you, Mark Jankowski, for showing up in the fucking series. Like, Jesus Christ, though. We should have been up. Like, come on, Calgary, just get it done. Oh, my God. And then our PK goes on the PK for one time and allows a fucking goal to Richard. I hate Richard Panik. I really do. Like, who the fuck is he? Why is he, like, showing up? Like, he's come out of nowhere and has just been their MVP. Come on, Calgary. Come on. This is a 1-1 hockey game. Okay, so here we go. 20 minutes. That is it. That is all that may be left. This is it. Our season is on the line. Do we want it? How bad do we want it, Calgary? Come on. Come on, force a 7th game. Come on, Calgary. Just force a 7th game. Yes! Steger, the former Hawk. Hang on, Calgary. Hang on. Hang on. Come on. No! Why? No! Why can't you just fucking hang on for once? Like, come on, Calgary. Come on, just... Oh, okay. So, fitting that we are going to overtime with our season on the line. So, I fucking hate it, though. I just wish we could hang on to a fucking lead for once. But nevertheless, it is overtime. Our season is on the line. Give me a second. Yes, and there you can see it. It was a delayed penalty call. Or no, it was a penalty. Jaromir Jagr goes to the box. Not even like a minute into the overtime. They go on the power play, and it's who else but Marian Hossa, the guy that's not even supposed to be in this series. He rockets one by Mike Smith, and just like that, the Calgary Flames season has come to a halting end in round 2, game 6. You know, it was a hard-fought series, but at the end, Marian Hossa and the Hawks get the best of the Calgary Flames. That wasn't the penalty to Jagr. Just want to see if they show it. They're not going to, but this was the Hossa goal. Gets into the slot there and just rips it by Smith. So yeah, so just like that, our season has come to an end, unfortunately, at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks in round 2. It was a really tough series for us. You know, we couldn't find anything all series. I don't think we need to look at anything there. Smith just wasn't himself in this series. So, you know, it was a little bit bittersweet in the playoffs. We do get the sweep against the Edmonton Oilers. It was fun, felt good, and then next thing we know, we got the Hawks, and we just really couldn't find a good matchup against Chicago. You know, they got the best of us in almost every category. Our special teams was not the special teams that you know, we had in round 1. Our power play never was good. Our penalty kill was pretty weak, you know, in round 2, but our power play was never that good. So in the playoffs or even the regular season, so we're gonna have to find a little something to change that going into the next year. So that's it. The Calgary Flames, after an incredible regular season in which they finished second in the West, second in their division, get through the Edmonton Oilers in 4. We lose in 6 to the Chicago Blackhawks. So I'm going to end things here. In our next video, episode 10, we begin the off season. We'll definitely get up to the draft, and I want to get right up to free agency, like right against free agency. So I want to get the draft going. I want to get the signing phases going. But we're also finished simming this playoff, see who wins the Stanley Cup in 2018, and then we'll break down our AHL team as well in Stockton, who were beat by the Bakersfield Condors in round 1 of their playoff series. So all in all, you know what? Calgary did make it to the second round. You know, it was you know, successful that we you know, were able to make it back-to-back years in the playoffs, and that we did get through the Oilers in round 1. We just couldn't get by the Hawks, who were the 8th seed in the West. For some reason, they upset the first seed Anaheim Ducks in round 1, and then they upset the second seed Calgary Flames in round 2. So they're putting on quite a story in Chicago. They will go on to the Western Conference Finals. That's nothing new for them, but they're doing it as underdogs for the first time. So it's going to be interesting to see if Chicago can go on. They've got either Minnesota or Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. So it's going to be interesting to see, but we'll do all of that in episode 10, I believe it is, in our next video, and we'll get the off-season started. It's going to be a big off-season. Like I said, we got a lot of re-signing to do, most notably Backlund and Neal. But we got a lot of decisions to make on that front, you know, as well as the draft is going to be big. But the off season in terms of free agency, you know, what moves do we make, you know, in terms of trades and in terms of free agency? I think the big one's going to be free agency. You know, we don't know who's going to hit the market, but it's time that the Calgary Flames pick up one of the biggest fishes in free agency. We need that piece. You know, we need that top end piece to help put us over the top going into next year, because we know we're capable of making the playoffs now in every season. We've done it now in 3 of our last 4 seasons, in back-to-back seasons as the Calgary Flames, and we know we're capable of making it to round 2. Again, we've done that in 2 of our last 3 playoff appearances in 4 years, so we know we're capable of making it, you know, as deep as the second round. We just need that push to get us past the second round to the conference finals, and then eventually the Stanley Cup finals. So it's going to be a massive off-season. I'm very excited for the off-season in Calgary, but we will get to all of that in episode 10.